please make it the M4 Black Lotus in 3, 2, 1. The most common question I get in the comments is how to get good floats, but people often ask me to show more detail on how exactly I get the trade-up inputs, how I do the trade-ups, how I resell the bad floats, and how I resell the outcomes. So today I'm going to be walking you through the process step by step of doing profitable trade-up. Are you looking for cheap low float skins for trade-ups? Check out today's sponsor, SkinsMonkey. It's the most convenient trading bot site where you don't have to overpay for low floats. I found this 0.08 Op Elite build and this 0.09 M4 Tooth Fairy, and the tradable M4 was delivered to my inventory instantly. If you apply code TECHSAVVY, you get a 5% deposit bonus, and you also get a $5 trading bonus when you start trading. Don't worry if you don't have any skins, just head over to freebies and you'll find 3 giveaways, all the way up to a gut knife gamma Doppler. So use my link in the description to start finding deals on low float skins today. Now step 0 is going to be to install 3 Chrome extensions. The first one is going to be CS Float Market Checker, and this is going to allow you to see the floats in your inventory. Then we're going to need CS2 Trader, which is going to make listing items a lot easier. And finally, you're going to want the TradeUpSpy extension, and this is going to help us organize the trade-ups when we have the inputs. I'll leave links in the description to these extensions just to make sure that you're installing the correct ones. But let's jump into the meat of things with step 1, which is to decide what trade-up you're going to do. The first thing that you have to consider is gonna be your budget. Obviously, if you only have $1 versus if you have $100, you're gonna be doing different trade-ups. And as long as you're doing the most common profitable trade-ups, the general rule of thumb is to have 7 to 10 times the cost of the trade-up in Steam balance before you start. You can have more balance in total, it only makes it easier, but if you have less than 7 to 10 times the cost, then the risk of losing it all or something going wrong is pretty high. So unless you literally only have $1, it's best if you have enough balance. The next factor that you have to consider is how common the skins are and how common they sell on the Steam market. The more they sell, the better, and in general, skins sell the most if people are opening them actively from cases. So the best collections to do trade-ups from is usually gonna be from cases in the active map pool, if not only the newest case. Right now, the Kilowatt case is the most recent case, and we're gonna be trying to find a trade-up from that case. Deciding on the rarity is not too hard. Either you're limited by your budget to the mil-spec or restricted rarity, but another limiting thing is that classified skins are actually quite rare, and it's pretty hard to do classified to covert trade-ups, so I'd recommend you stick to mil-spec to restricted, unless your budget is absolutely ginormous. Also consider the fact that stat track skins are 10 times rarer than regular skins, so if you can stick to non-stat track, that's also usually better. My budget right now is around $100, so I'm looking for a trade-up from the Kilowatt case that uses mil-spec or restricted skins and costs somewhere between $10 to $15. From here, you can either find the trade up yourself on TradeUpSpy, or you can just go on YouTube and find a trade up that suits you. But if you find the trade up yourself, always make sure to double check the API price because often it's wrong. The trade-up I'm going to be going for is going to be this Minimaware M4 Black Lotus trade-up that uses 10 field-tested restricteds from the Kilowatt case, and the average float needs to be under 0.214. Notice how the cost is just under $10, so it's around the 7 to 10x mark, and it's also not so risky because you have a 1/3 chance of hitting the Black Lotus, making $6.61. You also have a 1/3 chance of breaking even on the Zeus Olympus, and you have a 1/3 chance of losing around $3 on the USB Jawbreaker. So we're done with step 1, and now we can move on to step 2, which is figuring out which items are the best for buy orders. Now, if you want an in-depth guide on this, then check out this video that I uploaded recently. It explains everything, all the math behind it, but if you just want to know how to find out what is optimal, then head over to csroi.com. Next, you're going to want to click the Kilowatt case because the trade-up is from the Kilowatt case. Click Item and Float Drop Chances, then select Restricted, and here are the 5 possible skins that we can use. Remember that the average float that we're trying to aim for is going to be 0.214, and we need field tested skins, so let's click the first one, then click the field tested area. You're going to want to type in 0.214 and click find average float. Then you're going to want to look over here and take note of this percentage. So for the Glock, it's around 57%. Then moving on to the next one, the sawed off, again typing in 0.214, clicking find average float, it's 66.16% for the sawed off. Then for the M4, we do the same thing. It's only 49% for the M4. It's also 49% for the MP7, and it's also 49% for the 5.7. Now you're gonna want to pick the skin with the highest percentage. In this case, we're gonna pick the sawed-off because it's the highest probability, and it's also significantly cheaper than the Glock. Also, before we move on, take note of this number, the max float, because that'll come in handy when we move on to selling the bad outcomes. So in this case, it's 0.26, so we will sell everything above a float of 0.26. So now that we know what skins are the best to put buy orders on, let's go and put buy orders on those skins. So head over to the community market, select CS2, show advanced options, find the kilowatt collection under the collection dropdown. Then we're looking for field tested, normal, restricteds, and you should find the sawed-off analog input. And once you're in the listings, you're going to want to head over to the buy orders and click view more details. You might be tempted to just put buy orders at 98 cents to make sure that you start getting skins as early as possible, but that's not going to do you any good, because then you'll buy order a bunch of bad float skins directly off the market. So instead, what I like to do is I like to go a couple cents below the highest buy order, and I like to find a tier that doesn't have many buy orders. For example, here it's 95 cents. It has the least amount of buy orders, and if we go up to the price chart, you'll see that they do sell for 95 cents. So to set a buy order at 95 cents, you just have to click place buy order, set your price to 95, the quantity to whatever you can afford to buy, then you're going to want to agree to the Steam subscriber agreement and click place order. The fact that we didn't place buy orders on the highest buy order price is actually crucial to getting good floats, because usually that's the price that people dump bad floats onto. I experienced this many times in the past, so learn from my mistakes and only put buy orders a couple cents below the max buy order price if your skin allows you to do so. And after you wait a bit, your items should start coming in. I have 8 new items here, and they're all from buy orders, and as you can see, I have a lot more that came in earlier today. So now we're done with step 3, and we can move on to step 4, which is relisting all of the bad float items. Now, if you installed your extensions correctly, then you should see the floats in the bottom right corners. And remember, we're going to list everything below 0.26 as per csroi.com. So we're going to click this little cursor button. That'll open up the mass listing menu, and we'll just go through and select every skin that has a float that's higher than 0.26. And the reason we bought sawed-offs is because the sawed-offs are statistically the best to get low floats with. As you see, out of 25 skins, only 5 are bad floats on this page. These buy orders that I set at 95 cents actually took less than a day to come through. This is not normal, actually. I was quite surprised, but hey, they're here, so I'll take it. And now to determine what price we list it at, you can list it at the Steam Community Market price, but what I like to do instead is open the Community Market in a new tab. I like to look at the price chart, the recent price chart, and see that they sell around 97, 98 cents, 99, $1 even. And depending on how long you want to wait, you can set them at $1, you can set them at 99, 98. I think for me, I'll just sell them at 98. Yes, you will lose a little bit on Steam Market fees, but you'll make it back when you hit all the M4 sources. Now just go back to your phone, confirm all of the confirmations, and then if you load up your community market, you should see all of the listings with your bad floats. That's step 4 done. Now let's get ready to move on to step 5. So step 5 is organizing the trade-ups, and I actually have a really efficient way of doing it, and that's going to be opening TradeUpSpy, making it a new window, and then what I like to do is I like to set them up side by side, just like this, so that when you open the CS2 inventory, you should see 5 items in a row, and that'll make it really easy when selecting. But before we can select it, because of the new CS2 updates, we have to go to the extensions, click the TradeUpSpy extension, and refresh our inventory. This does take around a minute or so, and there we go. Now it refreshed, so we can go down here and get latest inventory from extension. We then load all the missing floats, and now, if you check the floats once they load, they should line up 1-to-1 with your inventory, line by line. That's why we put 5 on each row. Then you're going to want to just select the first 10 skins, see if the float is low enough, which in my case it is. It's actually a little too low. So for the first couple trade ups, I like to optimize it. So since it's too low, I'll get rid of one of the lower ones like the 0.17, and I'll find like a 0.23. Now it's 216, so it's too high. So I know that I need, for example, a 0.21, which is just fine. It's 0.149. So now check this out. Since we have the 5 rows, what I can do, I can mass select the skins, and the pattern on TradeUpSpy is going to be exactly the same as the pattern in the Steam inventory. So the first 2 rows, I take the first 9, then I skip 2 rows, and on the 5th row, it's the 4th skin. And what I like to do with these is I like to start listing them in round numbers. So for example, here I'll list them at $2, just so that they don't sell because the market price is pretty close to $1. So I'll list the first 10 at $2. Then once you approve these on your phone, you can reload the Steam page, reload your inventory in the extension. There we go, just load it in, reload the inventory on TradeUpSpy to make sure that it lines up with your Steam inventory again. The floats should already be loaded because we didn't add any new skins and we already have the floats loaded. Then we'll clear the trade up and start that process all over again. So select the first 10 skins, see if the float is low enough, which this is a little bit too high, so let's get rid of a 0.24. Let's replace it with a 0.22, still too high. We'll get rid of this 0.25, replace it with a 0.16. That is a little too low, so instead of the 0.16, we'll put in like a 0.189, which gets us to 149. I like to get it where the first 3 digits are the maximum possible, and then the rest I don't really care about to optimize it all the way to the 4th digit. So this time, the pattern is a little more complex. We do the first 7, then skip 1, take 1, and in the next row, take the first one, then the next row below it, take the second one. And now, this is my personal favorite trick. Instead of listing it at $2, we'll list it at $3. And you'll see why exactly we do this. It helps us differentiate between the different trade-ups when we take them off the market. The reason we're listing them on the market is so that we can put in the first 10 skins in CS2 without having to check the float and worry about messing it up. So now you just rinse and repeat until you went through all of your skins that you got from buy orders. There we go, and I'll list this at $6. So that should be 5 trade-ups for now. Next, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get back to just Steam only. Head over to the community market, and you'll see a bunch of your listings. If you have the CSGO Trader extension installed, then everything should look pretty identical. Then you're going to want to select all of the ones with $2 as the price. There should be exactly 10 of them. Scroll up, hit remove. Then you do that for $3, and you do this individually for every single trade up, counting to make sure that you didn't mess anything up and making sure that you have 10 of every single skin. And there we go. Now check back at your inventory. You should have, well in my case, 50 items, so 2 pages organized into trade up, and you should have the leftovers in the end. Now it's not quite time yet to do the trade-ups, don't get too excited. Instead, head back over to TradeUpSpy, load up your inventory one final time, and we're gonna check that every single trade-up is actually low enough float for the M4 to come in minimum wear. If you don't do this, that's very risky, and it might mean that you mess up the floats and you'll get an M4 and field tested. That would not be ideal, you would not profit from that. So yes, it's very annoying to have to check every single time, but trust me, it's worth it. Takes a couple minutes only, but it's the difference between the trade up actually being profitable or losing money on it. So just select the first 10 skins, check the M4 comes in minimum wear, which it does, then get rid of these 10 skins, select the next 10 skins, and so on until you've reached the end of your organized trade ups. And there we go, that's the last one, and it's low enough float. So that's step 5 done, and now moving on to step 6 of actually doing the trade-ups. Here we go, we have 52 new items. The 2 is just because of buy orders that came through that are in the excess bad floats. But now, let's do the trade-ups. Here we go, just put them in straight up like that. Make sure it's organized by newest and not quality. If it's organized by quality, you will mess up the floats. Here we go, 33% chance for the M4 Black Lotus in minimum wear. We have 5 attempts. Let's get at least 2 or 3. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's the Zeus Olympus. It is a break even. Let's move on to the next trade up. It's never been simpler to do trade ups than just literally putting in the first 10 skins and clicking the proceed button. M4 Black Lotus in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's another Zeus Olympus. It's definitely better than a USP Jawbreaker, so honestly I can't complain, but I do want to hit at least 2 M4 Black Lotuses. Yes, there we go. That's the first Black Lotus. Let's just double check that the float is correct, which it is. There's practically a 0% chance at this point that you mess the floats up, but still, you don't know until you check. So here we go, 4th trade up, 2nd Black Lotus incoming, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay, I mean, that was expected, but as long as the next item is an Olympus or a Black Lotus, I think we're in profit, and we have a 67% chance of hitting one of those 2 items, so please make it the M4 Black Lotus in 3, 2, 1. Yes! Let's go! Let's go! We got 2 Black Lotuses, both in minimal wear, the field-tested USB Jawbreaker, which is supposed to be field-tested, and 2 minimal wear Zeus Olympuses, so we made a pretty solid chunk of profit. And now to complete step 6, all you want to do is sell the skins. And for that, you're of course going to want to come back to your inventory, you're going to want to refresh the page, and you'll see your items. So let's start listing them. Now again, what we're going to do is we're going to sell them item by items. So we selected the 2 Black Lotuses, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to open the Steam listing page in a new tab. I'm going to check what they sell for. This seems to be around the ceiling, which is around $18.5. So even though right now they're listed for $18.12, occasionally during the day they do sell for $18.5. So I'll list it for like 1 cent below that, $18.49, just to undercut anyone listing them at $18.5. Then we'll list them. We'll do the same thing with the Zeus. So these are listed for $10.61, but they occasionally sell for $10.80. So we'll do, I think we'll do $10.69. Seems like a nice number. There we go, and list the items. And finally, the USP. This one's going to be a little harder to price because it is a pretty low field tested float, but we're going to just do the same thing, and we'll list it at the ceiling, which seems to be around 7.35. Let's just double check if there's any low floats, similarly low floats, 0.21s. There's actually none at these prices. So what's the cheapest that a 0.21 is at? It's about $8.12, so I'd say if we list it at $7.99, that's a good start. Now this might take a little longer to sell, it might not even sell, but if it doesn't sell, then just delist it, list it for something less like $7.79, and lower until it eventually sells. Now of course just head over to your phone and confirm all of these listings, and that's step 6 done. Now we can just relist these. I'll keep the good floats, but the 2 bad floats I'll relist. Actually 3. And that's it. You're done doing these trade-ups. So in total, I had to buy order 67 sawed-offs to do these 5 trade-ups, and out of the 67, 53 were usable floats, which is a staggering 79%, even better than what CSROI said, so I got pretty lucky, and 67 of them cost me $63.65, and after doing the trade-ups and reselling every item, I got back $72.32, meaning that I made a total profit of $8.68. Now this is the actual value of profit that I made. This is not an estimate. I got this number by going through my Steam inventory history and adding up every single transaction I did for this trade up session, and I ended up with $8.68 more than what I started with. So yeah, I really hope that you guys learned something from this video. I know a lot of you guys have requested me make this, and yeah, you can see with proof, it's this easy to do trade ups. You just have to know what the right trade up is to do and which skin to buy for it. This whole process took me less than a day. I set the buy orders last night, and I'm recording this the next day at 4 p.m. And if I wasn't making this video about it, the whole thing probably would have taken me around an hour of work maximum. And while sure, that's still a pretty bad salary for a hobby, I'd say that's pretty good. It makes money instead of burning money. That's how you do trade ups in 6 easy steps. And if you guys want to see me go from nothing to a knife, then check out this video next, where I do profitable trade ups starting with nothing, and I do it until I have enough balance for a CS2 knife.